This is the series dedicated to my favorite albums, the ones where I've paid more attention and time than most My Little Pony fans have had to a season or merchandise or whatever the heck My Little Pony's about. But I'm not talking about My Little Pony today, I'm talking about White Pony, the 2000 album from Deftones.
In an age where post-grunge and nu metal were at their peak and the standard rock scene was starting to fall by the wayside, there was a wide variety of music on alternative and rock stations. However, there was one band that predated that nu metal scene by years and were already on an established path to becoming a favorite band of millions. And fortunately for me, I have a patron who pledged enough money and wanted me to do a video on something I like. Not a Regretting the Past video, but an album for me to choose and talk about that I enjoy.
That's right, I found someone on the internet who wants people to be happy. Let that sink in for a moment.
I've talked about Deftones in past album reviews before, but that really only scratches the surface of what the band has done. With multiple platinum and gold selling albums around the world, a Grammy win, and thousands of live performances, Deftones have virtually seen and done it all.
And among all those albums stands out their most acclaimed and best-selling White Pony. Now, when a lot of you hear the term White Pony, you understandably might think about drugs. Just because the album is called White Pony does not mean that the album is flat out about illegal narcotics.
I mean, just because the album title is a street name for a drug doesn't mean that this was some sort of tribute or acknowledgement of narcotic use or referring to what the drug actually is, even if Chino said in an interview that this was a time when the band was experimenting with drugs and this is where the album ideas came from.
Oh. Don't do drugs, kids, or else you'll end up making platinum-selling albums and winning a Grammy.
Putting, whatever White Pony might be referring to, this album from the year 2000 stood out at the time for not being like anything else in the current rock and alternative scene. Although it was labeled with other nu metal acts, the truth is that White Pony really wasn't anything like the, at the time, popular acts of Linkin Park and Limp Bizkit. White Pony would not only go on to be the band's best-selling record, but also feature several radio singles as well as gaining MTV airplay.
The video for Change in a House of Flies even got airplay on TRL back in 2000. Think about that. This is the time where if you weren't a boy band, you were on MTV or especially TRL. That's how much influence White Pony had.
I remember buying White Pony the day it came out from a Sam Goody in the summer of 2000. It even came with the free poster that I've unfortunately lost over time due to it being destroyed from moving from place to place. Ever since I bought this album, it has remained a heavy part of what I base albums on for many different reasons.
It's now been 16 years since White Pony came out, and it's had a big effect on a lot of people, and it's stayed relevant this long. So, let's go track by track and see why I'm so addicted to White Pony. No! Oh, no! I'm not addicted to coke.
Oddly enough, the opening track of the album isn't particularly a favorite of mine. A song about a sorceress or witch, Feiticeira, meaning that in Portuguese, starts off with some nice guitar riffs from Carpenter and is one of the many story and character formatted songs written by Chino. White Pony at the time was the first album where Chino didn't really write from personal experience but created something out of nothing. In an interview back in 2000 with Alternative Press, he said, "I basically didn't sing about myself on this record. I made up a lot of storylines and some dialogue even. I took myself completely out of it and wrote about other things."
It's that transition that Chino and the band were able to create that made White Pony a turning point. It wasn't so much about writing from experiences, but they were literally creating something from nothing.
Even if this song isn't my favorite, I still respect it greatly because this was the opening of the album and it captures what White Pony had to offer. Hard guitars and rhythmic cymbals that lead to a drop in sound, and then gets louder and more energetic as a result. That's something Deftones are masters of.
There are many Deftones fans that are kind of split between which style they like, the hard screaming style or the more melodic style. However, one song, Digital Bath, is a favorite of just about every Deftones fan the world over.
Right after an energetic and riff-heavy opener, you get brought down to a slow and brooding ballad that has become a defining staple of the band. I love this song. It's the percussion and bass matched with the pedal effect on the guitar, and it's all slow and deep. It sounds like Chino is just breathing out his lyrics, and it registers on a harmonic level with the guitar. I feel this is the track that took the Deftones to the next level after being previously established with Adrenaline and Around the Fur. While the melody is spacey and almost ethereal in its feeling, the lyrics are savage. The song is literally about electrocuting a girl in a bathtub.
But somehow, despite the awful subject matter, this song is extremely calming, but still makes you feel awake and alert. All those harmonics in the guitar and all those quiet moments somehow make you feel more alert and focused. Usually that's the reverse effect from these quiet songs that make you feel, for lack of a better word, sleepy or more peaceful.
I breathe and dried you off.
Digital Bath takes its time. It doesn't feel long, but still feels like a complete experience to listen to. You don't want to rush to a certain part or skip past it. You can hear the individual instruments carry the song, and it doesn't feel like they overtake the track, and that includes the vocals.
It also doesn't have one drug reference. It's just about killing someone. Wow, this album's a lot darker than I think people realize.
Arguably the hardest song on the album, Elite was the loud surprise that became the favorite of many people when they bought this album. While it wasn't a radio single or played on MTV, the song would eventually go on to win the Grammy for Best Metal Performance in 2001.
Oh, it's a Grammy!
Hey, don't throw your garbage down here!
Chino is unhinged on this song, and his voice becomes iconic after a performance like this. Hearing him scream his way through the voices is what drives this track, and the hook revolves around his repeated sequence of "You'll bleed out of control." Lyrically, this is another example of just how profound and strong Deftones can be, just in a short amount of time. Another feature I want to point out is Abe Cunningham on drums, who I feel never gets enough credit for being such a consistently talented and impactful drummer for a long-running band. The bass pounding and cymbals are fast and relentless, and when the sound drops at 145 and then picks instantly back up, it somehow makes the pickup feel louder than it was prior.
It's weird how this song didn't get more radio play considering how unique it was in both the metal community, on the hard rock scene, and all the elements it composed together. But it didn't have Fred Durst whining profanity over it, so of course MTV is not going to be interested, and FM radio will just give it a pass. Way to go, guys. Picked a good choice on that one.
RX, or Prescription Queen, feels like a transition song. It's the drum hits at the opening that set the mood as another brooding track, albeit with a little more volume from Chino at points. The lyrics depict a story about a man who is so in love with a woman no matter what she does to herself or to him. There is also a big theory that this is actually how Chino felt toward his wife at first meeting, and it even includes an uncredited vocal appearance from Scott Weiland. The song sounds like it wants to be angry, but it's reserving itself. Just like you would be angry at someone you love, but you want to restrain how you react for fearing of losing the person you're with, even if it's over something serious like drug abuse.
The drug references are really starting to add up here.
Street Carp, much like the opening track, are somewhat of the lesser played songs for me. I love the energy at the end when Chino repeatedly sings, "Now did you get it? You get it, so write it down," but it's the makeshift chorus with a new address that just doesn't connect as well. I love the guitar riffs, but I don't feel it's particularly strong on an album with so much dynamic rhythms and sounds, many of which we haven't even gotten to yet.
However, this song is not about drugs, and that's good! If you read the definition of street carp on Urban Dictionary, it says that street carp is a female that is nasty and not... Oh! Oh no! Maybe I shouldn't have been listening to this when I was younger.
Seems
Undeniably the softest song on the album, and arguably ever by Deftones, Teenager is still a fan of many people who hear it. It's something about Chino's almost whispered vocals and the slow guitar string plucks with the added digital mixing effects from Frank Delgado, who made his first appearance as a permanent member of the band on White Pony. It's a very simple song, but serves as a great break between everything that's been heard so far and what's to come.
The Deftones, for the most part, have always given more than what's expected. They always have a few surprises on their albums. And back in the day, if you bought this on hard copy and didn't burn it from a friend, you got a big surprise if you put White Pony in your computer.
Back around the early 2000s, a big thing was making enhanced CDs and loading them up with short video clips and tons of bonuses. Deftones took it a step further, included studio sessions, journal entries from Chi, and even a Deftones Pac-Man game where you were a white pony chasing music notes instead of pellets, being chased by the 5 heads of the Deftones instead of the ghosts.
Severed heads chasing a white pony while it consumes music notes. Drugs were a bigger part of this album than I ever put together before.
Knife Party was the final of the 3 singles to come from White Pony, and it's another track I love and still listen to. This one is almost unexplainable as to why I like it so much, as it's not the heaviest or most rhythmic, but there's something about the way the song carries from Chino's slow opening line to the accompanying female vocals, or screaming, from Rodleen Getzik. Stephen Carpenter's guitar work and riffs build this loud and enormous feeling that makes the song feel huge. Lyrically, the song balances between the line of provocative and violent. It's the type of song you want to start singing along with, but are afraid someone else who doesn't know the song might hear you and think you're a psychopath.
Okay, so one of my favorite stories to tell about Deftones is in 2003 I was working at Best Buy, and this is years after White Pony came out. I was working over at the car stereo section just helping file stuff away, and Knife Party came on one of the Sirius XM stations, so I turned it up really loud, had the subs going, and one of the female coworkers comes up and goes, "Hey, I kinda like this song, what's this about?" And I get really excited and I go, "It's Deftones, it's a band that's been around for a while. I've had this CD since day one," and I just started telling her about it, I got really excited, she could tell. And then she goes, "Oh, that's kinda nice, what else is on?" And she cuts off the song with like a minute left. She turns the station, and on comes Milkshake by Kelly, and then her response is, "Oh my gosh, my favorite song!" and then starts singing it really loudly. And my direct response to that was, "Ugh." And I just walked away.
Korea has that great concert vibe. It's that loud, angry opening that has the cymbal bashing throughout, and hearing Chino get energetic all gives off this violent energy. Even in the moments of the verses where he's singing, it all feels like it's building up to points of intensity. If this album had a title track, Korea would definitely be it. Lyrically, you can easily see the drug references about Off Teeth and Pony, and there are also references to women and strippers.
So strippers and drugs, White Pony and Street Carp. It's getting really hard to defend the innocence of the music here. Regarding Passenger, think about buying this album on day one like I did. Think about not really knowing Maynard James Keenan was going to be a part of anything on this album. You bought it because it was a Deftones album. Then you hear Passenger, a 6-minute song, and you hear Chino and Maynard singing together, and they're both core parts of the song. That's like being a little fat kid and getting a ticket to the candy store for as much candy as you can hold. So you walk up to the cashier, and the cashier goes, "Hey, while you're here, here's some free ice cream." Maynard James Keenan is the ice cream.
Never has a car ride sounded more exciting and intense. Literally the perfect nighttime highway drive song. It's over 6 minutes of a perfectly laid out duet between Chino and Maynard while Steven blasts on that guitar, and the percussion and drumming reaches its peak on this song. Passenger is the type of track I wish people that are not fans of Deftones would give a chance and listen to. It makes the perfect imagery in your imagination, and you can get sucked into the chorus so quickly. The static morph and effects from Frank at the beginning and the quiet notes at the end make this entire song feels like it needs to be part of a 6-minute movie trailer.
I would make a joke about how if you don't like this song, you must be on drugs. But given the references and knowledge of what we've discussed so far, that message really doesn't have the same weight anymore.
Change in the House of Flies was the lead-off single, and at the time was the first look at White Pony. It was the long, low, deep track filled with quiet verses that all built up to an iconic chorus. While Deftones were already established in the rock and metal scene, it was this song that got Deftones' mainstream attention outside of the genre. Compared to other songs on the album, it's not particularly that strong or powerful, but there is something vivid about the dynamic of Chino's transition from verse to chorus that makes the song. When you hear the guitar riffs drop and hear Chino sing, it makes this entire track worth it.
I think Change proves that Deftones can really create an atmosphere of music. And when I say atmosphere, I mean the separation between you and the music and the rest of the world. The only things you're hearing are the only things that exist, and that creates your own imagery, and that kind of separates you and your own mindset. Nothing outside that atmosphere matters. It's just you and the song. And Deftones are amazing at doing that. Oh, this isn't the song you were expecting? You were expecting Back to School Mini Maggit? No. This is the album closer.
Let's go back to the year 2000. Bands like Linkin Park and Limp Bizkit were selling like crazy. The friendly suits at Maverick got with Chino and asked them for a similar song so they might have something that sells as well as Hybrid Theory. Chino didn't like that. He then wrote a song quickly just to prove a point at how easy it is to write songs with loud hooks. Then the record executives saw dollar signs and wanted it released as a single, and calling it Mini Maggots. Chino threw his hands up and said fine because he trusted his label and the label was actually listening to him and his input at least.
So, Back to School Mini Maggit was added as a download and an additional track on White Pony. I think it's weak and it's really not worth talking about. Pink Maggit, however, that's how you end an album.
Push back the square. Now that you need her, and the soul, there you go.
Pink Maggit is a 7.5-minute closing song that greatly identifies the feeling this entire album has. After all the shifts in speed and volume, Pink Maggit closes it all out in a slow pace. It's not complicated or intricate, but just a peaceful close.
And no matter how loud and frantic songs like Elite and Korea can be, which are great, this album overall has a very calming, tranquil effect. When you listen from beginning to end, you really reflect on yourself after it's over, and you think about all the things you just heard, but then it also just kind of shuts down and applies to your own life. It helps you focus on a lot of things.
Really think about an album that you listen to from beginning to end and ask if you can get multiple emotions while listening to just one song, and then a totally different set of feelings while listening to the next, all while the album feels completely connected and nothing feels out of place.
White Pony does that. There have been other Deftones albums that many people argue can do that also, but for me, White Pony does that best.
I totally understand Deftones are not for everyone. It's an acquired taste, even for rock and metal fans. But one thing that the band has that even their biggest critics can't deny is that Deftones are unique. They've been doing things their own way since the late 80s and rarely make any missteps. Ever since the summer of 2000 when I first listened to White Pony, I have always been pulled back to it. I know I'm not the only one either. I not only think this is the band's best work, but it will forever be one of my favorites. Hey guys, thank you for watching. This video was made possible by a patron who donated to my Patreon account. You can help support Rocked and even get rewards yourself like voting on upcoming album reviews and seeing videos early. Even if it's just $1 a month, it helps out greatly. Please subscribe, it really helps out a ton also. You can find Rocked on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and you can check out a video from another one of my favorite albums in Master of Puppets by clicking the annotation or the YouTube card.